Born into a working-class family in New Zealand, Bruce McLaren faced physical setbacks from a young age but refused to let them define him. With a deep love for cars and racing, he rose from humble beginnings to become one of the greatest names in motorsport history. This is the story of how a poor boy's dream and relentless drive created one of the most successful racing teams in the world. Early life. A boy with big dreams. Bruce McLaren was born on August 30, 1937 in Auckland, New Zealand, to Les and Ruth McLaren. His father ran a small service station and workshop, which became his second home. From a young age, Bruce was fascinated by cars. The smell of oil and the sound of engines being taken apart and rebuilt sparked something deep within him. He would often sit for hours watching his father work, asking questions and studying how each part of the engine fit together. Bruce's early years were not without hardship. At the age of 9, he was diagnosed with Perthes disease, a rare condition that affects the hip joint and can lead to lifelong disability. After 2 years of treatment, his condition improved, though his left leg remained shorter than his right. Walking with a slight limp, Bruce knew he would never have the physical strength of other racers. But he also knew that success in racing wasn't just about strength, it was about strategy, precision, and understanding the machine. As soon as he was strong enough, Bruce returned to his father's workshop, determined to turn his knowledge into action. His early struggles had given him not only technical knowledge but also mental toughness, a trait that would define his racing career and the birth of the McLaren legacy. A growing love for racing. Bruce McLaren's fascination with cars quickly grew into a deep love for racing. But he wasn't content with just watching. He wanted to build and drive cars himself. At the age of 14, Bruce built his first go-kart using spare parts from the garage. It was rough and simple, but Bruce's natural talent for engineering was already visible. He modified the kart's engine and frame to improve its speed and handling. His first test drive ended with him crashing into a fence, but instead of being discouraged, Bruce immediately began working on adjustments to improve the balance and control. It was clear that he wasn't just another boy who liked fast cars. He had a mechanical intuition that few possessed. By the time he was 16, Bruce entered his first official race in a hill climb event. He competed in an Austin 7 Ulster, a small but nimble car that his father helped him prepare. Despite his inexperience, Bruce's performance stunned the other competitors. His smooth handling, quick reflexes, and ability to read the road gave him a competitive edge. More importantly, Bruce showed a deep understanding of how the car responded to different conditions. He would come back from each race with detailed notes on how the car could be adjusted to improve its performance. Bruce's natural driving ability quickly gained attention in the local racing community. He moved on from hill climbs to circuit racing, competing against seasoned drivers twice his age. His father saw his potential too, and realized that his talent deserved a bigger stage. In 1957, Les McLaren entered Bruce into the New Zealand Grand Prix, a major event that attracted top drivers from around the world. Bruce, still a teenager, found himself racing against some of the biggest names in motorsport. Though he didn't win, his performance was remarkable. He held his own against experienced international drivers and finished ahead of many seasoned competitors. This race marked a turning point for Bruce. He had proven that he wasn't just a local talent, he was ready for the world stage. Entering the racing world. Bruce McLaren's impressive performance in the New Zealand Grand Prix did not go unnoticed. Among the spectators was Jack Brabham, the Australian Formula One driver who had already made a name for himself in the racing world. Brabham was impressed not only by Bruce's smooth driving style and technical understanding, but also by his calm demeanor under pressure. After the race, Brabham approached Bruce and offered him the chance of a lifetime, an opportunity to race in Europe, the heart of the motorsport world. In 1958, at just 20 years old, Bruce packed his bags and left New Zealand with little more than his racing gear and a fierce determination to succeed. He joined Brabham's Cooper racing team as an apprentice driver and mechanic. At the time, Cooper was known for its innovative rear-engine designs, which were starting to revolutionize Formula One. Bruce wasn't just learning how to race, he was getting a first-hand education in cutting-edge race car engineering. His breakthrough came in the 1958 German Grand Prix, where he earned his first points in a Formula One race, a remarkable achievement for a rookie. Then came the race that would change his career forever. In 1959, at the United States Grand Prix at Sebring, Bruce became the youngest driver ever to win a Formula One race at the time, just 22 years old. His victory was not a fluke. Bruce had shown remarkable composure, reading the race conditions perfectly and executing flawless overtakes. His understanding of tire wear, fuel load, and car balance gave him a strategic advantage over more experienced drivers. Bruce's victory catapulted him into the spotlight. He was no longer seen as just Jack Brabham's protege. He was now a rising star in his own right. Over the next few years, Bruce continued to deliver strong performances with Cooper, securing podium finishes and establishing himself as one of the most promising young drivers in the sport. But he was never satisfied with just driving. He wanted to understand why some cars were faster than others. He spent as much time in the garage with the mechanics as he did on the track, studying how adjustments to the chassis, suspension, and aerodynamics affected performance. By 1963, his curiosity and drive for perfection had grown into something more ambitious. He began to wonder why he was helping others build fast cars when he could build his own. Bruce envisioned a car designed not just to be fast, but to be adaptable, a machine that could be adjusted to different track conditions and driver preferences. That year, he made the bold decision to leave Cooper and start his own racing team. With a small group of engineers and mechanics, Bruce founded McLaren Racing in a small workshop in England. His goal was simple but ambitious: to build the fastest, most innovative racing car in the world. Bruce wasn't just building a car, he was building a legacy. The journey to the top would be filled with challenges and setbacks, but his early experiences had prepared him for the road ahead. He knew that success in racing wasn't just about speed, it was about precision, innovation, and resilience. Setbacks and challenges. Starting his own racing team was a bold and risky move for Bruce. In 1963, when he founded McLaren Racing, he knew that building a competitive race car from scratch would not only require exceptional engineering, but also significant financial backing, something he didn't have. Unlike established teams like Ferrari and Lotus, which had decades of funding and experience, Bruce was starting from the ground up with a small team of engineers and mechanics operating out of a modest workshop in England. He was betting everything on his ability to design and build a better car. Bruce's early challenges were steep. Finding sponsors was difficult. While his reputation as a talented driver helped him secure some initial backing, it wasn't enough to cover the costs of designing, building, and testing a competitive Formula One car. Bruce and his small team worked long hours, often sleeping in the workshop and living off minimum pay. Bruce was deeply involved in every aspect of the car's design, from the shape of the chassis to the positioning of the suspension components. He wasn't just a driver anymore. He was now an engineer and team manager. The first McLaren car, the M1A, was completed in 1964. It was entered into the Can-Am Series, a highly competitive North American racing league. The M1A showed flashes of brilliance, with Bruce himself driving it to several strong finishes. But mechanical issues and reliability problems plagued the car. Suspension failures, overheating engines, and gearbox malfunctions cost the team valuable points. Bruce's frustration grew, but he refused to give up. After each race, he would sit down with his team, reviewing every detail of the car's performance, looking for ways to improve its handling and reliability. In 1965, Bruce faced one of his most devastating setbacks. During testing at the Goodwood circuit, one of his cars suffered a catastrophic brake failure, causing a high-speed crash. Bruce emerged from the wreck with minor injuries, but the damage to the car and the team's morale was severe. Financial pressures mounted as sponsors began to question whether McLaren could ever become a serious contender. Bruce had to make a tough decision: cut back on development or push forward and risk financial ruin. He chose the latter. In 1966, McLaren entered its first Formula One season with the M2B, but the car was underpowered and unreliable. The Ford engine lacked the horsepower needed to compete with the dominant Ferrari and Lotus cars. Bruce finished only one race that season, the British Grand Prix, but even then, he was several laps behind the leaders. Critics began to whisper that Bruce had made a mistake starting his own team. But he saw the setbacks differently. They were lessons. He worked closely with engine manufacturers to develop a more powerful and reliable unit while fine-tuning the car's chassis and aerodynamics. The breakthrough finally came in the Can-Am Series. In 1967, Bruce introduced the McLaren M6A, a car built using cutting-edge materials and featuring innovative aerodynamic features. Bruce and his team had mastered the art of combining lightweight construction with powerful engines, creating a car that was fast and balanced. That season, McLaren dominated the Can-Am series, winning 5 of 6 races. Bruce had proven that his team could build a winning car, and more importantly, he had shown that McLaren was now a force to be reckoned with. Still, the road in Formula One remained difficult. In 1968, McLaren secured a contract with Cosworth for their powerful DF-VAVI engine. Bruce's persistence and technical understanding allowed him to modify the car's chassis to perfectly accommodate the new engine. That year, Bruce won McLaren's first Formula One race at the Belgian Grand Prix, a monumental victory that silenced the critics and solidified McLaren's place in the sport. Bruce's setbacks had been brutal: financial troubles, mechanical failures, and near-fatal crashes. But each failure taught him something. His ability to analyze and adapt gave McLaren the edge over more established teams. His resilience became the foundation of McLaren Racing's identity, a team built not just on speed, but on relentless problem-solving and innovation. The challenges Bruce had faced hadn't broken him. They had shaped him into the leader and visionary who would soon change the face of Formula One. Rising to fame, McLaren's ascendancy. After Bruce McLaren's victory at the Belgian Grand Prix in 1968, McLaren Racing began to emerge as a true powerhouse in the racing world. The win wasn't just a lucky break. It was a clear sign that McLaren's approach to car design and race strategy was working. But building a competitive car was only half the battle. Bruce now had to prove that McLaren could sustain success at the highest level of motorsport. In 1969, McLaren introduced the M7C, an evolution of the M7A. Bruce and his engineers focused on improving the car's balance and handling, working closely with Cosworth to enhance the DFV engine's performance. The results were immediate. Bruce and his teammate, Denny Hume, a fellow New Zealander and former Formula One world champion, began consistently finishing in the top 5. While McLaren didn't win the championship that year, the team had established itself as a serious contender, earning respect from rival teams and the racing press. At the same time, McLaren was dominating the Can-Am series in North America. The McLaren M8A, introduced in 1969, was a masterpiece of engineering. Powered by a massive 7-liter Chevrolet engine and featuring a refined aerodynamic design, the M8A was virtually unbeatable. Bruce and Hume swept the 1969 Can-Am season, winning all but one race. McLaren cars weren't just fast. They were works of art, designed with a level of precision and attention to detail that few other teams could match. The McLaren team's success in Can-Am gave them financial stability, which allowed Bruce to invest more resources into their Formula One program. In 1970, Bruce introduced the McLaren M14A, an updated Formula One car designed to build on the success of the M7 series. His meticulous attention to detail was evident in every aspect of the car's design. He had developed a new suspension system to improve cornering stability and worked with Goodyear to create tires that could handle high-speed cornering without overheating. Bruce was not only a brilliant driver, but also a gifted test driver. He could sense even the slightest imbalance in the car and knew how to translate that into mechanical adjustments. But 1970 would prove to be a year of both triumph and tragedy. Early in the season, Bruce's performances in Formula One were strong, with consistent finishes in the points. The McLaren team was finally on the verge of breaking into the elite tier of F1 competition. Then, on June 2, 1970, tragedy struck. Bruce was testing a new McLaren M8D at the Goodwood circuit when the rear bodywork detached at high speed. The loss of aerodynamic stability caused the car to spin out of control and crash into a wall. Bruce was killed instantly. He was just 32 years old. Bruce's death sent shockwaves through the racing world. McLaren Racing had lost its founder, its leader, and its driving force. For many, it seemed like the end of the McLaren dream. But Bruce had built more than just a team. He had created a culture of innovation, precision, and resilience, and in his honor, McLaren would endure despite the loss. Legacy and impact on motorsports. Bruce McLaren's tragic death in 1970 left a void in the racing world. But his influence on motorsport was far from over. The foundation he had built, a team defined by innovation, precision, and resilience, ensured that McLaren Racing would not only survive his loss, but rise to even greater heights. Now, it was up to the team he had left behind to carry his vision forward. Denny Hulme, Bruce's longtime teammate and friend, became the anchor for McLaren Racing in the aftermath of his death. Hulme led the team with the same quiet determination that Bruce had shown. In 1971, McLaren continued to dominate the Can-Am series, with Hulme and Peter Revson driving the improved McLaren M8F to victory in 8 out of 10 races. McLaren's success in Can-Am was unprecedented. The team had won 5 consecutive championships from 1967 to 1971, making McLaren the most dominant name in North American sports car racing. The true golden era for McLaren came in the late 1980s and early 1990s, when legendary drivers Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost drove McLaren to multiple championships. The McLaren Honda MP 4/4, driven by Senna and Prost in 1988, remains one of the most dominant cars in Formula One history, winning 15 of 16 races that season. Bruce's legacy was clear: the focus on lightweight construction, superior handling, and adaptability that had defined McLaren's early success was now producing world-beating results on the biggest stage. McLaren also became a leading name in high-performance road cars. The McLaren Automotive Division, established in the 2010s, produced road cars that carried Bruce's DNA: lightweight, meticulously engineered, and designed for both speed and handling. Models like the McLaren P1 and the McLaren 720S reflected Bruce's core belief that a car should be an extension of the driver, perfectly responsive and balanced. Today, McLaren remains one of the most successful and respected names in Formula One. The team has won over 180 Grand Prix races, secured 12 Drivers' Championships, and earned 8 Constructors' Championships. McLaren cars continue to embody Bruce's pioneering spirit, blending cutting-edge technology with driver-focused design. The McLaren Technology Centre in Woking, England, stands as a testament to Bruce's vision, a state-of-the-art facility where engineers and designers continue to push the limits of automotive performance. Bruce McLaren's legacy is not just measured in victories and championships, it's reflected in the culture of innovation and excellence that he created. Bruce's story, the poor boy from New Zealand who overcame illness and adversity to build the best racing cars in the world, remains one of the most inspiring tales in motorsport history. What do you think about Bruce McLaren's legacy? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.